think this is. I was laughing my butt off. We do these panels all year last year, right? So there's always 3 to 4 different panelists on the panel. And the process is always the same. We pick the panelists, and then the week of, we kind of send out the questions to the panelists. This is the first and only panel that any panelist reached out to me to ask for the questions. Today's topic is being prepared and creating systems. All 3 of them commented on that. So I just thought I was laughing my butt off because it's exactly who they are as people. They were all like, she's like, thanks for repairing. He was like, where's my questions? Anyway, I was laughing so hard at that. Sorry about the awkward.
But the funny thing was, when I emailed her 48 hours ago and said, where are my questions? You'll have them in 10 seconds. I'm doing them right now.
I was.
Because we're usually right on the same wavelength.
Well, what you didn't know is they were en route, and Erika and Tracy were adding questions, and we were all kind of talking about order and stuff. So anyway,
So we will be getting prepared for being prepared people.
yes. Yeah, so if there's ever been a panel I've been intimidated to interview, it's these people, because they really are rock stars. So, okay, so first of all, before we get going and hit record, I know there's a lot of people still logging in on Zoom. I wanted to make sure Eddie got a chance to say thank you and thank you for coming. He provided breakfast for us today. Do you want to say anything?
Well, I know everybody here, so there's not a whole lot to say other than just, thanks for allowing me to do this. You guys show up on Monday. We're gonna have a really good lunch on Monday.
Yes. Oh, you're
Doing Monday munchies.
yeah.
Just I really appreciate you guys allowing me to come and visit with you guys as often as you have, and
No,
I get a great response.
no. Go ahead.
Transactions we got Omar, we got one closing with Cindy Powell here on Monday. Omar and I just got a contract last night. So, if you want to know how I'm doing, you want to get a testimonial, just ask these guys how the service is, and anything I can do for you guys, let me know. And please give me some feedback on if there's information that you guys want to know, or, the information that I'm providing, if you want it, if it's good information, if you want something different, just, whatever feedback you can give me is much appreciated, and I'll do the best I can to kind of customize it to what you guys need. So,
I love it. And his desk is in Highland Village, but he's available by phone, and he does live close. I mean, South Lake is pretty close to Highland Village, so he can come over here anytime you need as well.
Yeah.
Abigail supports him, if you didn't know that. So she supports him for half of the week every week. So she's also his eyes and ears and advocate, and she sits here in South Lake with us. So if you do need a direct connection to Eddie, she's always right there in Vicky's old office, that one with the window.
Yeah, if you guys want to set up an appointment, a one-on-one, talk about anything, get some, mortgage information or product information, get with Abby, and she'll set up a time for us to meet in coffee or come over here or wherever it's convenient for you guys. So always feel free to reach out to whatever's most convenient.
Okay, and hopefully y'all on Zoom could hear that. We have a larger Zoom turnout than in person today. So if you are on Zoom and you're watching, Erika's going to mute you guys. But if you have a question for the panelists, we want to know it. So either pop it in the chat and she will relay it to the panelists. You do not have to wait until the end to do that. You are welcome to pop your question in at any time. And as soon as it makes sense to fit it in, she will let us know that somebody out there in the world has a question. And I see the other cafes, hi Fort Worth, hi Highland Village. Good to see you guys. Okay, so let's get started. The panel today is timely, especially for the market, not only for the time of year rolling into January. What we're talking about is systems and planning and what you do during the week for weekly success habits. So there are weeks that there is nothing going on in real estate and you have to either keep yourself busy or you won't have a busy week coming up. And then there are weeks when out of nowhere, you're so busy, you feel like you can't even have time to brush your hair that day. So there are things that certain agents do during the slow time to keep their pipeline full, and then things that people do during the busy times that are non-negotiables that they won't skip no matter how busy they are. And so that's what we're here to talk to these people about. I wanted to start by introducing, so Brigette Mann, Jason Hewitt, Raisa Wilfong, but I do want you guys to tell just a little bit about like when you started and just kind of intro yourself. You don't have to do anything fancy. What office you're at and how they could reach you after the panel if they had any follow-up questions. So we'll just go down the row. Bridge.
Okay, I started in July of 2012. I got Rookie of the Year in 2013. I started mentoring in 2014, and I'm in this office.
So Bridget's an excellent teacher. You guys will notice on the calendar, we've got Financial Peace University coming up. Bridgette's gonna actually teach that for us. She's also a coach for Pathways, which helps people find their purpose. So she's coming from a place of real estate, but she also has other things going on that you can connect with her as well. Jason?
I'm Jason Hewitt. I got into real estate in 2009. I was Rookie of the Year for Remax Masters as well. After 14 years teaching choir and theater, and I still judge a lot of musical theater. Real estate wise, mainly residential, South Denton County, a little bit on this side of Tarrant County, and property management.
That's true. And he does BPOs for banks. So he's got several different lines of business within the real estate industry. So he does juggle a little bit as well. Raisa?
I'm Raisa, and I began in October of 2004. I've been at the Highland Village office from the very beginning. Great office, great leadership. And I do some property management, but most of my business is sales residential. I do a little commercial as well.
So Raisa has entered our mentor program as a mentor. She is super successful with connecting with her mentee. Her mentee has already done contracts. She's really good at helping that person kind of outline the good success habits and erase the ones that you kind of want to get away from. So not only does she do property management, residential real estate, and all of that, but she's got this going on too. So all three of them have multiple things going on, but they still make time to keep their pipeline full, which is kind of what we're going to focus on. So I do have a list of questions that we brainstormed. We may or may not hit all of them. And I want to make sure that the panelists get to include any extra tidbits that they thought may be helpful to everybody. And then we'll also have time at the end for questions or during from the Zoom people or the people in person. So let's get started. Okay, so thank you guys. You're wonderful. Are we recording? We are. Okay, great. So we're recording, so don't say anything silly or yeah, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to focus on, because when you are starting your business, you don't necessarily, and this is whether you're a tenured agent of 30 years or a brand new agent of 30 days, right? So when you're starting your year every year, you have to have some sort of goal or target to be able to measure your success, right? So my first question for you guys would be, what is the driver there? Are you guys, when you sit down and you think about success and what your business is going to be, is it units? Is it transaction total? Is it clients added? Is it volume? What do you strive for? And what's your top, driving factor? And anybody can answer at any time.
So for me, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to do this.
Yes, thank you for being on the panel.
I'm honored. For me, there's two things that I focus on. One is volume, because I set a goal, a volume, and then plan everything based on that, on those numbers. And I have spreadsheets, which I can talk about later. But and number two is service, just wanting to raise my level of service from where I'm currently at before the beginning of the next year.
I love that, because if you're focused on your service, the transactions, units, and volumes kind of follow. So that I didn't expect that answer. That's awesome. So when you're doing that, and are you trying to increase your volume from the year prior?
I have.
Okay.
Yes, I do. From year to year, I try to increase it a little bit more. Actually, my goals are much higher than what I achieve.
That's great.
So it's always higher than my previous year.
Well, they say reach for the stars,
Yes,
I mean, you gotta, you have to have a goal that you can stretch for. What about you guys? How do you focus your drive? Is it units? Is it volume?
Mine is units.
Okay.
I really don't even know what my volume is. You know it better than I do.
Okay. I do. He's a Hall of Famer.
It's units, and based on how many homes and people that I move. My other goal is really just to always increase, whether it's 50 more of my Buffini mailers or 25 more people that when I contact, they respond to the database. So very much.
They know who you are.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is.
I know you. You know me.
It's raising my awareness and my spirit.
Okay.
Because that's where everything comes from.
Which is interesting, because similar to hers, he's not just focused on bottom line, he's also focused on career development. So I'm loving this. What about you?
Yeah, mine's kind of twofold. It goes with the volume and units based on the business planning, but it's also like I have kind of a word of the year or kind of theme, and that's changed. First it was service and then it was value. And now I'm focusing more on the connection piece
Okay.
of it. And so that's evolved and it's.
What's your
changed.
word?
Rise.
Rise. I love it. So that's kind of cool. That's a good motivator. What I know about Bridget, what she may say later is she's very good with visuals too, keeping herself accountable. So hopefully we'll get into that. So, okay, so when you are sitting down to plan, let's say for 2023, do y'all wait until January? Do you do it the year before? When do you start, or is it a quarterly thing? When do you start thinking about your next set of goals? How often?
I usually plan November and December for the following year.
So you're ready when you hit the ground running?
Yes, but I'm tracking throughout the year.
Okay, okay,
Very same. My goals become solid at the end of the year. And when you say planning, I think of, what am I going to send? How am I going to connect? And
yes.
I usually think about that a year in advance.
Send
It-
like mailers, things like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like, ooh, this would have been really good to send for St. Patrick's Day, but unfortunately it's April, so that won't work. So I usually get things about a year ahead.
Kind of stash them back
Uh-huh.
and save them, pull them out for the next
Yeah.
year. Okay, what about you?
Well,
Same thing?
Yeah,
Paul?
same. But I'm constantly checking on it too. Like, how am I doing? Where
Yep.
am I tracking to see where?
When y'all say
it's coming from.
constantly, what do you mean?
So I'm vision boarding, right? So
Okay.
I have a vision board of what it looks like. I have action steps on what helps me get to that. And then I have little commitments that are just non-negotiable around what is that? It's like the 5-3-1 thing in
Okay.
Master Networks. And it's like you have this one big, hairy, scary goal. Well, you break that into 3 parts. Is that connection? Is that units? Is it volume? Whatever that is. And then 5 actionable items that will lead me to that leads me to that.
Okay,
So it's a 1 through 5.
so when you say non-negotiables, that to you means it doesn't matter if you're busy or slow, those things are happening that week, you're
Yeah.
fitting them in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you guys have things like
A
that?
work day or a work week.
If there's something that, if you have a super hectic, busy week, is there stuff that you make sure I'm not gonna miss out on doing this?
Not really.
Okay,
I mean, the way that I plan is I take the big rocks and put them in, the appointments that have to be there, the classes that have to be there. And then I work everything around it. Nope, I've got an appointment then. And an appointment may be lunch with some other people. And then I try to stay ahead of things. I'm a big bulk planner. I do my own letters that go out every month through Buffini program. And I just set aside, an evening that I want to watch a movie that I've been wanting to watch and do it in front of the TV or something. But, you place the big things and then I work everything else in around it.
if y'all are not familiar with that, I do recommend you go find that video. Brian Buffini has it, actually. I believe we'd have to ask Sonia too, if she knows where the link is, but he talks about that, where you put in the big rocks first, and then the pebbles will fit around the big rocks, and then you can pour the sand on top of all those, and you can pour the water on top of that. But if you were to do it in any different order, everything wouldn't fit in the same jar. It's a really good lesson, so I do recommend you YouTube it. I'm assuming YouTube it, or just Google it, and you can find it, the rock lesson. Okay, so backing up, let's go back to the planning, because you guys touched on something, and I do get this question quite a bit. Specifically, do you use a specific planner? I get this question all the time from our agents. It was just asked. So what planner are we using at this panel?
I use my phone.
Okay, you're technical. I like it.
Yes, I use my phone, and so my calendar that's on my computer and my phone. And
Okay,
then I also do some tracking, which we'll talk about tracking.
Yeah.
Using spreadsheets.
so do you mind talking about how you use the phone for the planning? Do you take your calendar and say, this is February, this should be my goal, or what sort of notes do you leave for yourself on your calendar to plan?
Okay, so I do a couple things. I use my calendar and I use my tasks.
Okay.
If you have an iPhone, and I know the Androids have the same,
We do.
the task planner is awesome. I can put my tasks in folders. I can put hashtags on them. I categorize them, but I have specific task sets
Okay.
that are for business and personal and bill payment, that kind of thing. So for work, I am daily looking at that, and I'm comparing it to my calendar to make sure that I'm checking off boxes. And there's a reason that I have to do that, because I personally, my two weaknesses are I get distracted very easily.
Same.
And
Wait, what?
and as a result, I have terrible time management. I mean, I'll confess it, terrible. So I
Thank you for
use-
confessing that and making
No,
us all feel human. I
it's-
appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's those two tools that keep me on track and help me accomplish goals.
So guys, one cool thing about that, which we're gonna get to Jason and Bridget, but she has this in front of her daily. Nobody goes anywhere without their phone. So, you know, people that do the business plan on the paper, she's carrying hers with her 365. Bridget's doing something similar with the vision board thing where it's always in front of her every day. What do you guys use? A specific planner, or is yours just the board? What are y'all's planners?
I do board, a big calendar, and alarms in my phone.
Okay, you're technical too on your phone, and reminders right in front of your face. Big calendar, like those title company
Yeah.
desk things. Okay,
And that's more for tracking.
and your vision boards is mostly photos, or is there words on there, specific goals?
But it's like envisioning what the result is.
Okay, if you can envision it, you can achieve it. What about you, Jason?
Mine is almost identical to hers.
I'm
Outlook,
switching.
yeah, well, Outlook and my phone is where all the things are. When my wife says, "What do you have going on tomorrow?" I don't know until I pick up my phone. I kind of reconcile everything before I go to bed and make a hot and warm list. I don't get technical with my tasks. Her lists that are on her phone are actually my lists. And sometimes it makes me happy to make lists of my list just so I can cross them off. I do have a to do folder. It's a yellow plastic folder, and I know stuff that's in there. It's with me all the time.
A
And
physical.
yes, and it's
tangible
kind
thing.
of like the rocks thing. Stuff that's in there is not necessarily have to do now. It's I've got 10 minutes and I'm stuck here. What can I get? What can I check off of this that's stuck in that folder?
Wow, that
And I
is
use
so
Post-its too.
You
Like-
do.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
Like, I have these little sticky notes, and it might be on my computer, and it might move down here from just the kind of, I have a time block. Okay, I'm sitting at my desk for 2 hours. What do I need to get done while I'm here instead of?
Do you still do doing done?
Mhm.
Okay, so when I first got in the business, Bridget was my first accountability partner. So I've been to her house and seen this personally. It's impressive. Tell them the doing done thing.
So it's like, it's a way to get the junk out of your mind, right? And so you have this doing done board, and the Post-it, the sticky has to move between all levels. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I got that done, right? Because that's like false advertising. But it has to move, and you feel like you've done something and you haven't done anything, right?
Yeah.
Guilty. But you have, okay, here's the idea. It's gone from this. Have I taken an action step, and has it been completed? And it may stay in the doing pile for a while, like client appreciation parties or things that are kind of events that it's always there, but it's not really done yet.
Mhm.
Or even monthly mailers, things like that. That's in the doing. But
Okay,
it's that reminder.
but it's like a physical, tangible, movable thing. That's kind of cool for people that do like to, like a Jason who will add something to scratch it off. I do that. I will admit.
Well, and there's a certain place on my desk that everything's laid that needs immediate attention.
Okay,
I mean, my desk is kind of zoned off where I put things that, okay, I can get to that later, but this really is important.
so that's interesting. I didn't even think of asking this question, but you brought up your desk and you've got one up here.
Mhm.
Both of you guys are virtual agents. Do you at home have a space that is dedicated to work?
Yes,
It's dedicated to that.
I do have an office in the office, but I'm hardly there compared to working out of my home
Yeah.
office, and I actually have an office at my home.
Yes, and that's where you keep your folders, your files, your client stuff.
Everything is
Okay.
there. It's not very neat right now.
And just while we're on the subject,
Yeah.
you asked about a CRM, go utilize a CRM in your.
Great question.
Like,
Uh-oh.
yes and no. I use the Remax one, and that's in transition right now, right? So
Oh, you're gonna love the new one. We've been watching, I'm just gonna say, free plug here. We've been watching the videos. So fancy. It's a smart CRM, but anyway,
yeah, I don't utilize it for task management though. I
okay.
use it for
Contact
management.
storage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really use Outlook when I'm printing labels and things like that for my mailers. And, Buffini has his own for when I do the mailers for that specifically. But again, not for tasks. That's my checklist.
What about you, CRM?
So I've had CRMs. I don't use them as much as I should, and I'm looking forward to the new one.
I love it.
I mean, I everything's on my phone. So-
I love that. So going back to, do you have another one?
It's just like in, yeah.
Drill down,
Same
tell
thing
us.
with Melanie. They were asking about how you got over, do you get overwhelmed with those tasks, and you kind of said on yours, but how do you
That's a great question.
organize that?
You shut up and do it. I mean,
You
yeah,
thought-
you get overwhelmed. I will put my favorite music on or a favorite movie in the background and just say, okay, I'm getting through this. Or what I learned from our previous owner was you break it down into itty bitty steps. Getting a mailer out that's 200 people. Okay, I'll do a mailer. Well, no, you've got to pull your list of people. You've got to print your labels. You've got to put your stamps on it. You've got to fold the things. You've got to put them in the envelope. And I always like a pretty seal on the back. That's 7 different steps. So it doesn't all have to happen at once. You just have to have the momentum to keep going forward.
That's good
And
tip.
sometimes you just have to sit your ass down and do it.
That's like Victor's eat the elephant thing. You can only eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yep.
I saw him up here one night and he was scanning 2 files. He drove up here to scan 2 files. And he said, I scan 2 files a day until I catch up on my hundreds of files. And when I have more time, I scan more, but I make sure I do 2 a day. So I thought that was interesting. So what types of things are we tracking throughout the week? Are we tracking activity, added clients, how we're doing on volume? Do we even track?
Yes.
Okay.
For me, it's, you know, I follow the hot and warm list from Ninjas.
It's ninja selling if you're unfamiliar.
So that might look like, okay, I need to make this call, or I need to do this, you know, CMA, whatever it is for that client need. And you know, everything's written down on my big calendar, so I can go back and look back. Okay, well, that was a real estate review that led to this conversation, that led to this follow-up on the 15th, because we're listing in 3 months or whatever it is, right? So you can see where the line was, but you can also see the activity that started that, you know, trifecta of
But
whatever.
what I like about that is it makes you feel good about the previous activity, because sometimes the previous activity we do in real estate doesn't pan out. Well, most times it doesn't pan out the same day.
Yeah, no.
So that's nice for you to be able to see that back history. Do you guys track similar things?
Mhm.
What
I
about-
track like that. I don't track necessarily volume or this or
You don't
that.
keep tickies on how many phone calls you did or?
No,
Okay.
I keep tickies on how many houses close. I
Yeah, okay.
have a thing on my vision board that's just blank houses, and I color them in as they sold, just so it gives me a block of where I am throughout the year. It also mentally lets me know how much tax I'm paying at the end of the year.
That's a great.
Oh,
extra tidbit.
yeah.
Do you track anything?
Yes, it's pretty simple. I have 2 Excel spreadsheets. One where I have bios, listings, leases. I have the list of everyone that I'm actively working with.
Okay.
So their name goes in there. I'm looking at it quite often. It just helps me remember sometimes when I haven't talked to someone that I need to reach out. The other spreadsheet that I have is for production. And I'm looking at that every time I have, whether it's a lease check, a commission check that I
Love that.
receive, sales, the property management. So I'm looking at it constantly. And in there, I actually have my goals at the very top, and it subtracts in volume. It subtracts along. So I'm actually watching my percentages. I'm watching by mid-year, I know where I'm at with my goals. And throughout the year, it's so simple, but I like simple.
Well, simple is doable.
It's-
Simple is rememberable. It's, I don't even know if that's a
Yes.
word, but you can come back to it.
Yes.
You said something about the people you're working with on your spreadsheet. Is that they are currently buying or selling, or you think they might be in the future? How do they make it to your sheet and out of your phone or out of your
Okay,
email?
so the very top has the people I'm actively working with, and when they go under contract, I have their line highlighted in yellow. So I
Okay.
know I've got it. And there's another tool I use once they go under contract, which I'll say in a minute, but, and then those that I'm sort of working with, I've had contact with them, they've contacted me, I've got them, actively on searches, but I have a ton of people on searches, but I mean, we're actually looking at properties. Then I have them, you know, a little bit further down, from the most active. So I know I have to give a lot of attention to the most active there. It's kind of like the A, B, C, that kind of thing. So I don't categorize them that way. I'm real visual in that the most active are at the top. And then, but once I go under contract, there's a tool that I like to use It's called Folio.
Yes, we have an agent here, Lisa Haro, that uses that.
I love Folio. It's, you pay for it, but it attaches to your, like if you use, Google, for your communications, it attaches to that, but so it picks up the emails and that kind of thing. But anyway, it actually has, tasks for your closing from contract to close. So it reminds me, as soon as I put in the contract date, and then I put in aspects of the contract, like, you know, how many days option period, how many days for financing, then it sends me an email, and I can invite my clients too. It sends me an email reminding me, hey, this is coming up. Hey, remind your clients to contact the utility companies. So I've set up templates in here, and it reminds me. So it's a great tool. And my daughter is my part-time assistant, so I'm starting to tag her on that as well.
Nice. I am checking that out.
See, and these are common things. She does it electronically. I have a piece of paper that's that way that has check boxes. Did you, in fact, mine are such like amendment created. Did you send it to both parties or your party represented? Did you send it to the front desk? Did you send it to the title company or the lender? And just so I remember where everything went, I made that when I first got in the business.
That's what I was
Just-
wondering. And you probably, so I'm guessing, I'm picturing you're going through a transaction and you start logging your task, and that's how you create your checklist.
Mhm.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
you know, you
and I
have a
was
similar process with buyers and sellers.
Well, and over the years, I refined it when, you know, I forgot to send something to the lender and they went, your price changed. You might have wanted to tell us. Duh, yeah. So, you know, and production is huge. I mean, definitely track your production log. Every time I get a CDA, I put everything in there. So I can tell what my CMN donations were, what my office portion was. I can do my taxes off of that.
Okay.
But more importantly, I could go back till 2009, and when we had no inventory, I did a mailing to everyone, every house I'd ever sold to, whether they were my clients or not, and said, hey, I've had experience selling or buying your property. If you need someone that knows it, here I am.
Ooh.
So
okay.
all people that you've closed with in the properties are your pipeline. Go back and make sure you're always having them
So
and have access.
several of you have multiple things going on. How, when you're sitting there at the beginning of the week, or maybe at the end of the week, maybe you'll tell us, how do you organize your time? Is it blocked? Is it on Monday, I always do this, on Tuesday, I always do that? Or how do you sit there and organize all these things?
It depends on what's going on with life.
Okay.
You know, like
That's fair.
I'm married, have kids, so there could be something that's a family event that's going on this week. So I know that Tuesday from 12 to 9, I'm not gonna do anything with work, right? So I've got to get Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning or what, you know, so I've got a
So
different.
you're looking
time.
ahead in advance, not the night before saying, oh, shoot, tomorrow I'm busy from 12 to 9. Okay.
Yeah, that's mostly on Sundays, I'd say. Just kind of what the next weekend tells anyone I talk to over the weekend, or any stuff that's coming up. It doesn't always work out because, you know, kids are crazy, they get sick, things happen, things change. So you have to,
That's true. You have to be a little flexible.
yeah, you have to be
Mhm.
flexible, and someone could literally say, come list my house tonight too, right? So you have to.
Yes, put it out there in the
Yes,
universe.
you have to be flexible, but you also have to have already done all these things so that you're not constantly running. And so my morning times is that time for me, right? So I can set my day, I get it done. I'm not, and I only do this from experience because I did it the wrong way for a long time.
What do you mean by that?
Like I would not get dressed and ready. I just kind of jack around and have my coffee, and then it was like 11:30. And it's like, my day's gone, you know, and it's like, so if I don't get dressed and ready for work, I'm backtracking.
That's our agent Jeannie. She always advises all of her mentees and all of her friends, which I'm a recipient of, to get up and get dressed regardless if you know you have an appointment that day, because you could get a phone call last minute and need to be ready. So I love that.
I want to comment
Yeah.
on that. That was one of the things I put in here. I think it's so important, if you're going to be a business person, you're going to run a business, wake up every morning and get ready for work, get dressed. I know it's too much information, but I make my bed every day. I get out of bed, make my bed, and I get ready for work. And whether I have appointments or not, I'm dressed. I mean, how I'm dressed today, This is how I dress
Yep.
every day so that I'm ready, whether I have an appointment or not. Because appointments do come up.
Yes, you're not, I'm gonna stay at home in my PJs all
No.
day and yeah. I love that. How do you organize the week? Like, do you do? Every
You know, I'm
Monday,
like
every-
I'm like Jason, the big rocks first. If I've got appointments, those, I work everything around that. But I also have certain tasks that I'm gonna be doing, you know, every month. For example, certain bookkeeping tasks or tasks with property management. So those are in my calendar and they repeat, you know, every week or every month, whatever they are. I also have tasks in there, in my calendar, like to reach out to clients. However, I'm not good with it the way that it's in there, so it's a reminder. But I will confess, I miss a lot of the follow-up that I should be doing with past clients, just because I get real busy doing other things.
Yep.
But I do, I start with the most important things, which to me are the appointments. And then everything else, then the smaller rocks fit in my schedule. as
So
well.
drilling down on that, if you have something pop up that you know is super busy and, you know, maybe like follow up with a client, do you hit snooze or do you hit delete or what do you do?
I just go and do it, or
You
I
do,
follow that.
okay.
I don't, yes, I don't.
You do it
I do it.
at some point. It may not be
Absolutely.
today, but it's getting done.
Well, if it's important, okay, I want to add this. Years ago, I was overwhelmed when I got in this business. And I spoke to a very successful businessman that I respected. And I said, how in the world do you get everything done? I said, I've got my list. And I said, I can never get everything done. And he goes, you won't. He goes, but he goes, work on the most important thing first. So my list is constantly changing. And that's why I like the electronic list, because I can actually move things up.
Yes.
So right in my phone. So if I've got, if I have a list of items to do, but I need to get this letter out, or I need to get this phone call made, I need to get this task accomplished, that moves up to the top. And that's the first thing I'm working on. And when that's done, it's checked off, and then I go to the next most important thing. Now, I don't always do that, but I try to make first things first. And that has been a huge advantage for me moving forward in my business, is trying to keep the most important thing first in my day.
So, and you mentioned you sometimes copy your daughter, which brings me to delegation. If you look at this giant list and you see some things, do you delegate them off? Do you do them all yourself? How do you guys determine what to delegate and what do you all delegate?
So I'm not gonna lie, because she's watching.
Can't lie.
If you can't see on Zoom, it's Tracy.
No, it's Gabriella's my daughter, who's,
Okay.
yeah. So she, I am a terrible delegator.
Oh, she's done.
Yes, she's on me. She's on. Hi. I'm a terrible delegator. I need to be a better delegator, but I'm learning, I'm trying. And because I just like to do things myself. So she's constantly, just tell me, you know, send this to me, do that, you know, that kind of thing. But yes,
love it.
I have, that's an area I really have to grow in.
So you're learning it. What about you guys?
Yes.
I'm the same. You know, I'm never gonna delegate
There's a little bit of control going on.
a lot of
Saying.
control going on. I'm never gonna delegate like the birthday cards that I send out, and I probably send out 50 to 60 birthday cards a month. But it's again in bulk. I order them in bulk. They're in the closet. They're branded with me. I just have to sign them and address them. And I sit down and do like 3 months at a time. It takes
Okay.
me half a day, but it's done. And I just pick up what goes in the mail every day. Things like that to me are personal, that I sign off on and write a little note in. So I'm not going to delegate that kind of stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know, the bigger things like the magazine that goes out, yeah, that's all delegated out. But most of my things have some sort of a personal touch, and I'm very big on signing all my stuff myself.
Yes.
I'm the person that when I get something in the mail and it looks like a signature, that's photocopied, you know.
What is she saying?
She goes, yes, be honest.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we need her to go ahead and put in the chat any stories we need to know while we're recording. Okay, so Jason touched on the birthday card thing. What I do want to say about him is that he He also, I don't know if delegation is the right word, he resources very well. So he's good about like, using Buffini mail outs for his touch points and things like that. So it's not necessarily delegating someone to do it, but it is finding another resource so that he's not the one manually creating it, which is its own form of delegating your time. What about you? Do you pass off anything?
it's-
I know
it's
my favorite is your helper. She comes to every.
My daughter.
Her daughter has the Joyful Abundant shirt, shows up at every activity that Bridget does, greets people. She's so professional. She is darling.
Yeah, I want to be her when I grow up. So, the delegation thing, I'm comfortable with delegating. I just haven't been to that level, I guess. I outsource a lot, printing, graphics, all that kind of stuff. I don't sit and create that kind of content. I also share a lot with ninjas. We do a lot together. So we all have our different areas where we focus, and we kind of split the task and that kind of thing. And I use my mentees a lot, not from a place of do this for me, but it's in the teaching of it. And so that, they're learning the process of it, and they're seeing it as well. So we're both doing it, but.
So you kind of mix and match too, more similar to Jason. So you really, all three are doing that. You all are controlling the majority of your business, as most agents are before they've started forming teams, but you're resourcing out different things.
Yeah.
She's working on expanding into team mode, bringing in the daughter for resources. Are either of you focused on that at all? Or you stay in? Okay,
No.
yeah.
So actually, I delegate to her a little bit of my admin work.
Okay.
She does, she works throughout the week for me, but I also, some of my marketing is delegated out. I do the American Lifestyle magazine.
Love that.
To just over 100 clients, about 110. It goes out every 2 months. What that has done for me, and if you haven't done something like this, it's a really helpful tool. I don't stay in touch with past clients enough. I'm so focused on my current business and other things going on in my life that that is a tool that gets my clients get it. This week it went out, and a client reached out to me and sent me a picture of it and said, I love it. And so it keeps me kind of in the forefront of their mind. Every other month they get that magazine with my picture on it.
Yes.
And it's got great articles. And if you send that out, make sure you read it. So if they call you,
Pro
you know what's in it, right?
What magazine?
Okay, so that's one of the things. And then also I do I use a company called Outbound Agent. And
Ooh, I've heard of that.
yes, and they do social marketing and emails and Facebook articles on my business Facebook page.
Actually, an agent asked me about that yesterday. I'm going to refer that.
Yes, so it's not cheap, but it keeps me out there, and it keeps my name out, in front of clients of mine. So that's a helpful tool that I use as well.
Is her daughter piping in?
Erika's
Erika's giggling.
She said she doesn't focus on past clients because her referral business is constantly coming in.
Okay, so she's sticking up for her mom. So which is true. She's got a good referral business, but
That's true.
I think we're all our own worst critics. I would say the same thing. So I totally get that.
She's looking for a raise.
She's got many witnesses here. She's looking for it. Okay, so everybody's really busy. You mentioned you've got I know everybody's got multiple things going on. What does your week look like? Is it a 5-day week, a 7-day week? Is it 40 hours a week? Is it consistent week to week for that matter?
Nothing's consistent in real estate.
But you do come in consistently. So
I
you're
do
here.
come in consistently. I have a home office and I have an office here, and I find that when I'm at home, I will work. I will also get off onto other things. When I'm here, I work. And goof around with some of the people in the office, but that's part of the attractiveness of an office to me, is having the relationships of a lot of the people that are sitting here in front of us and having lunch together and having that bond. I don't feel like I'm on island so much.
Right.
But yes, I come into the office usually 3 or 4 times a week, between 10 and 2 or so. And
And he takes a lunch break in the middle.
I do sometimes. Thank
I'm
you.
teasing you.
My wife's not on this.
She's always here.
People call and say, well, I didn't know if you were working today. And I say, oh, I'm always working. I'm always available.
Okay.
The thing is, I also know that every once in a while, I might take an afternoon to watch a movie
Yes.
or to do something that I wanted to do or get a massage, or because I also know I might be working at 9 o'clock the next night on getting something in the Sky Slope. So it is
That's
really,
true. We don't have traditional.
yeah, it
5
is
o'clock.
roll with the punches, do what you need to do when you need to do it. The 9 to 5 thing is just a myth for us.
Mhm.
So,
What about you? Are you 5 days a week, Bridge? Are you 7 days a week?
No, not 7.
I mean, a lot of agents are, and then I also want to ask you guys that question about, because we do have some newer agents watching, is this where you've developed to? What did you start out as? I'm gonna come back, but what about you? Are you 40 hours, 50 hours, 20? Doesn't know.
I would say it's probably a 4-day work week, if I'm being
Okay.
real honest,
Yeah,
you know?
I should be honest.
So like Mondays I have ninjas, Wednesdays I have a marketing group, and Tuesdays and Thursdays I've got some kind of class or business development, right? And so like that's the structure of my base, and then everything around that is whatever, appointments,
Yep.
calls, pop buys, those kinds of things. And so that integrates another day of showing or selling or whatever that is, right? And so there are some weeks that I work 7 days.
Yes.
If I have that going on. There are some weeks that I'll work 2 days, like December. Pretty much take the whole month off, right?
Well,
And-
you guys are good enough to know where your goals have been by then, so you know if you can take December off.
Exactly.
That's great.
But it's also planning for the next year and setting the calendar and all that stuff. So it's different work. It's not the calls and it's
In
not-
your business and on your business.
Exactly. There is a difference. And that stops the roller coaster, that stops I'm so busy because of all the business creation, and then I'm busy, and then now I gotta go create. Right? So that's a big uphill battle to go over and over and over, and it leads to exhaustion and burnout and all that stuff, right? So if I can just keep those simple things in there, then that everything else filters from that place.
To get to that point, your first, say, 2 years, were you working more or less? Because I hear that answer from
I was working
2
different.
types of agents.
I was
Okay.
working frantically.
Okay,
So I was working unorganized, out of control, and desperately.
okay,
And that has been like a big mind shift, mind
Yes.
change, whatever it is. Because I also was, working from this place of, I have this goal, but I'm a loser, right? And so that doesn't, I just being honest, right? And so if I have this big goal, but I feel like I'm a loser, I don't have a goal problem, I have a self-esteem problem, right? And so I have to build that confidence, or I have to be what I want to be. And so if I can't trust myself to keep this commitment to myself, nobody else, right?
ooh,
It's between me and
big
me.
nugget,
Me and me.
yeah,
Did I do what I said I was gonna do?
because there isn't anybody in this business that's
Exactly.
gonna make you do stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if I don't do it, I can't trust myself. So then I am a loser, right? That matches.
Well, I don't like that word.
Okay, whatever you say,
All right.
I'm pity party, whatever, it
Okay.
matches. Because I'm not being what I said I wanted to be. But if I want to be a trustworthy individual, everything from that place changes. Because I'm a trustworthy individual. I can trust myself, I can trust you. Maybe you're gonna poop on me, whatever, right? But I can trust myself to not be your friend anymore, or not engage with you, right? Because I'm a trustworthy individual.
Except I'll find you.
No, I'll get you back. No. But it's like that principle has to relate, and it has to match. So if I have this big, hairy, scary deal that I can't reach because I'm not a trustworthy person, I don't follow through on my commitments, I don't do what I say I'm gonna do, I won't get there.
And nowadays you have gained the confidence, so that's why it has shifted into,
Exactly.
I know what I can do and what I can accomplish.
Yeah, by adding service or value or connection, like whatever it's kind of like the why in your business.
Yep.
Right? Like, this is my why. And
Yes.
it's never enough to be like, I want to make $1 million. It's not enough.
How are you gonna do
Because
it?
when you reach that goal, then you're done. No, because I want to be wealthy, right? Like that has a different tone to it. Then I want to make $1 million.
Well, and it can, to your point, it can shift. It could maybe $1 million is what makes you happy, and maybe that makes you happy forever, but maybe in the beginning, it's hard to get to the million, and 10 years from now, you're making $1 million and we have agents that are out of town 5 months of the year, so there's different ways to look at that too.
Yeah.
What about you guys? How busy is your week now compared to when you started? We didn't get to know how busy your week usually is now too. I want to know that too.
So when I first started, I was chasing business. I was working 7 days a week. And the only time in my lifetime that I've gotten burned out was in real estate twice, 2 different times where I actually felt burnout. And I finally had to, had a true coming to Jesus moment where I realized that I had to set boundaries. And so I don't like to work more than 6 days a week. And when I say 6 days a week, some days I'm real busy, other days it's just one appointment where I'm going out, but I want to make sure that I always have one day
For you
myself.
to recenter.
Yes, my family, going to church, whatever it is, and so basically my week is constantly, it's a little bit of everything, constant communications with clients. Whether it's appointments, going out to lunch or connecting with them at dinner or just on the phone. Another thing really important for me is I constantly want to be growing. So I'm taking online courses. I do I do YouTube classes. I'm reading books. During the in-between times, I'm constantly looking for ways to grow and reevaluate myself as a business person, or just learn new things about how to run a business, because the environment is constantly changing. So that is huge to me. And then some of my time is spent in bookkeeping and of course interaction with my family and friends. But I don't sit and play video games if I don't have business. I am trying to learn and grow and find better ways to be me and to run my business.
Has that changed from when you first got in?
Yeah, I'm better at it. I'm more focused on what I don't take every kind of class. I look at those things, those types of whether it's classes or YouTube videos that are specific to where I feel like I need to, areas I need to grow in.
Learning is earning, guys.
It's huge. Every day, every week, I'm trying to learn.
Thank you guys for being so honest about that. I'm already feeling better. What about you, Jason?
When I started, I was doing a lot of the same types of things, but I was doing them with a mentor.
Okay.
I mean, I was in a smaller office where me and my mentor were in the same office. We even officed together for a period of time. And I was living real estate through her.
Okay.
That's how I learned. And I had lunch with other realtors that talked about their deals. That's how I learned. Now it is more, there's a lot more alone time and me alone working, but that is how I learned.
But that goes back to her comment about you have to be able to hold yourself accountable because nobody else is going to do it. And your comment about you're not going to sit there and play video games. You are the one telling yourself that. No, Tracy's not making you do that. I'm not making, nobody's making you do that. You have to be able to be, it's not your broker's job to make you accountable, which I love. I love that. And it's not your mentor's job to make you accountable.
Right.
You can't, my favorite Sonia-ism, you can't want it more than somebody else does. You just can't. So it is. Sonia has many Sonia-isms. If you don't know Sonia, they go through my head all the time. So okay, so, and if you don't know her, you can learn from her at the upcoming Buffini class. So I'll plug that class too, just so everybody knows. So, okay, so one thing that I notice about all of you is we've all been in slow markets and busy markets, and then now the weirdest market of all time, the pandemic market. So obviously these things are going to change as we rotate different markets. When you're in a market where something sells in 2 days time versus when something sells in 3 months time. So talk to me about, because this is coming this year, if you have a slow week, what does that look like for you? What are you doing? Are you thinking to yourself, I need to try to get business? Or are you just like, yay, I've got a slow week? I mean, what is your slow week? What happens to you guys on those weeks?
Woohoo! Take the time.
The first one, but then the second slow week. No, I'm just kidding.
No, because real estate's so crazy, like if it's a slow time, at first it is celebration because you never know, right? The busy time's always next. So, for me, I try to enjoy the moment.
The busy time's hopefully next.
It always is.
Yeah.
It always happens because it gets slow and then you get bored and then you start getting into action, right? but I try to enjoy whatever the moment is, right? I practice gratitude. I practice really saying like, what can I do? Right? Instead of all this stuff is happening to me, I'm a victim, pity party, right? It's still mindset. So what can I do? How can I engage? How can I add value? How can I connect? And so, and for me, you guys have probably noticed I'm a little crazy. So I have to focus on that mindset, because if my mind is not in the right place, I can't do anything. Like I'm incapable, not from a place of I don't know what to do, but I can't get positive from a negative place, right? So I have to move up the
Yeah, that's a
emotional
big
scale.
deal. We need to get out our wallets right now and pay her for that, because that's good.
Well, you can't get there from there, right?
No, it's the truth
Like,
though.
if I'm
It's better because you were my mentor, and I feel like all the time, like, you're not the victim here, you need to do this. My Bridgism is you want excuses or results.
She went to you can have excuses or results. It's your
That's
choice.
great.
And you have to do that, and that's negative talk, is that, how you see yourself.
and it's a choice. It's not always easy, but it's simple, right? And so whenever I can get into that pity party or all this stuff, or what are we gonna do now, right? Like that's all overwhelmed, that's all fear, and that makes me feel stuck. That makes me feel like I can't do anything. And so if I ask an empowering question of how can I, what can I, not why is toxic, right?
Right.
Because the Google guy's gonna go to work in my brain and find all the reasons why I failed, I didn't do blah, 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 right? But if I say, how can I, what can I, that moves me to action and to move away from that space.
So what about you guys? Slow week. You wake up, you look at your calendar, not much going on. What are you gonna do?
I know the night before when I look at stuff.
Not a surprise.
It gives you the chance to make some phone calls that you needed to or don't have time to write some extra notes. That's also my thinking time.
Well, this is also a positive mindset. He just said it gives you the chance to do something, not I have to do this, which is a totally different shift in your brain,
Yeah.
which I love.
But it gives me thinking time of, okay, what's coming up and what would I like, how would I like to connect with people either through a client party or a mailing or something interactive. I also, like she said, huge on education. The more you learn, the more you earn.
That's what it is. Yes.
But the more you learn, the more prepared you are when you're in front of someone in a situation.
That goes back to confidence and preparedness.
Exactly. So know your craft, and I may not understand the lender class that I'm sitting through, but I know what FHA, conventional, and VA are, and I know how to explain that there's a whole bunch out there that I don't know, but here's who does. When I was brand new, I got every designation I could have that didn't require transactions along with it.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
I have a ton of them after, letters after my name, because that's what I needed to learn about. And even if I hire a stager, I need to know something about staging. And the more that you know, the more comfortable you are in this business.
And it does position you as an expert. What about you? Slow week. Are we going on vacay? Are we meeting for lunch?
I've got 5 things that I
Okay.
wrote down. Number 1, education. Well, actually, I prepare myself again. I get dressed every day, even if it's going to be a slow week. Education and training. Number 2, I reach out to past clients and follow up with past clients who haven't
Excellent.
bought or sold. Whether it's a text or a phone call or inviting them for coffee or lunch. I connect with friends, my sphere of influence. I try to improve my systems. I look at what I'm doing, and so I'm working on my business, like you said. And then 5, I give myself needed R&R. So I work on personal projects.
I love that. She calculates that she needs to be able to be ready in the future. So she's building in her own R&R time now. Very smart. You can get yourself burnt out either direction in this business. You can do enough of nothing that you're not motivated, or you can do too much that you get burnt out. So I love that balance, that work-life balance.
And that's the time that you work the systems that failed you a month ago.
Okay.
And you go, crap, I don't want to end up here again. So I put my sticky note in the to-do, my folder or my place on my desk. that when there is something slow, it's kind of like, okay, I really need to figure out what happened there and what process I can have to make it not happen
Like
again.
what, like Rocky Seller checklist? Like, what do you mean by that?
Or if I need a new checklist for something,
Okay,
or if there's something that I need to figure out about, whether it's new
You got us that
contracts that are
ice cream.
coming up,
I'm
and
just saying.
I know. It whines every once in a while. Go pet it, it'll be fine.
it's nothing.
I thought it was one of
It's
the
a-
agents that you're crying about.
No.
What you two touched on brought me to, non-negotiables outside of work. Is there something in your life that if it comes up, you are gonna put your work on hold for it? Is it your children? Is it my me time? What is it that is a non-negotiable? If somebody asks me for an appointment during this time, I'm gonna tell them I have a different appointment.
If I've already got a big rock in there, if I'm scheduled to go judge a show that I'm the only judge that's there for, I'm making that, I'm
He
keeping
does
that appointment.
drama shows because he was a former drama teacher, so he
Yeah.
will go to schools all over the Metroplex and judge their shows for them and give them feedback. So that's what he's talking about.
But that, or February 1st is my daughter's birthday. We have dinner with her that night.
I'm not showing houses.
I'm not scheduling anything for them.
But again, creating work-life balance.
Well, and the answer is, I already have an appointment. What about tomorrow at?
Mhm.
And I don't say, when are you free?
It's my daughter's birthday. We're
Yeah.
gonna celebrate. You
I'm
say-
gonna throw out 2 or 3 times that work for me. I'm the agent and it's my time you're paying for, or someone else is paying for. And then if those 3 don't work, then I can kind of see when you're available, but I'm not showing a rental at 5 o'clock an hour from my home.
Right,
I'm just not doing it.
yeah, well, and also that doesn't make sense traffic wise, and so you're looking at big picture, basically. Are you guys both the same? Does it boil down to family?
Yes, I mean, I go to church. I love my church time, so that's a non-negotiable for me.
I love that.
It's life-giving and it fills me up. Family time does the same. And, so what I like to do, like you said, is I like to tell, if my clients want an appointment, I tell them I have an appointment at that time. I don't tell them what it is. I don't tell them it's personal business or.
They don't know if you're in church or the dentist or
That's
your
right.
kid's birthday.
I have
Getting a massage.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
it's an appointment and it's on my calendar and so yes, that family time and personal R&R is hugely important.
Do
I
you
mean,
two
it's-
both also schedule in rest and relaxation time for yourself? You said massages, so I'm assuming you do. You?
I don't I mean, if I have a petty, but it's not like I must schedule my 1 hour of me.
Yeah.
I do. I schedule my me time and I create a boundary around it and I'm like, don't talk to me. My phone's going on silent.
My massage place is a place I can call and say, can I be there in 10 minutes? And they go, yes, come on in.
I need that
So-
number, right?
It's good.
Getting so many resources, guys.
But it's just, the wording is imperative to me because at first I would say, I would need to explain why I can't be available for that time or whatever it is, and that's just not necessary.
No,
It's none of their business. I'm booked, so when can we do it at another time?
I love
And
that.
I don't have to explain it.
I think that's really smart, and I think it is something that does take a little bit of refinement because there's a little bit of emotion that comes with it. You don't know if you should feel guilty, you don't know if you should feel
good point.
good about that, so it does take a little bit of refinement to feel confident about that, but after a while, you're like, no, I'm busy, thanks. My friend's in town or whatever it may be. Okay, so real quick before we kind of lace this up, I wanted to go back to something in regarding the tracking and things like that. You guys are all successful and there is a many number of ways where you can generate business and you have been through down markets, up markets. How did you determine, was it through planning and tracking or was it through trial and error or what? How did you determine what lead strategies work for you to be able to now be in this position where you can plan an even keel week?
Yeah, experience.
Okay.
From understanding where I was spending my time. I used to have this time tracker on my phone and it would
A
literally.
time logger?
Yeah.
Me
anytime- Where it would be like, okay, so you spent this amount of your time in exercise, this amount of your time in reading, this amount of your time in spiritual. And so I could really dissect my week. Okay, well, I'm not putting this much into work. Or then it was, you could break down the work into, admin, pushing papers, or were you actually in front of clients? So you could really break down what are my money making activities.
So yours is really about time spent versus return on investment. That's how you're determining it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because I can do a yoga class where everybody knows I'm the realtor, right? Is that as effective as a one-on-one with someone who I know needs to sell this year, right?
Interesting.
Both are important and I get something out of the yoga, right? But the one that's gonna make me money and lead to a paycheck is the connection to that one person, right?
Wow.
That's the
That's
other one's
interesting.
essentially a networking event and I get
Yes.
some yoga, it's fun, right? But it's a slow burn versus this is very effective time and let's talk about a strategy.
You're farming and you're hunting. Farming, the planting the seeds, going slow. The timer is called A Time Logger.
And it's free app.
It's free and it's cool because you can put in your activity. So you could say buyer appointment, seller appointment, you can tell it what you want to log. And you literally hit the start button and it times your amount of time and you hit stop when you're done. So it also helps people who are multitask challenged where you get 10 projects going at once and you can kind of see that that's what you do. Do you guys also determine what is successful the same way? Do you look at like return on investment versus time spent, or how did you find what works for you that now takes you into your flow?
Time and experience.
Trial and error too?
Yeah, trial and error and listening to people when I started, plus now.
Okay.
The Ninja group is so good with finding out what works for other people. Different things on Facebook are too. Kind of like that fits my personality, that'll work, that may work for me.
Like what? Like open house? Like, what do you mean by that?
Just the way that you interact with people,
Okay.
the way that you come to mind with them, the way that you participate in different activities, just the way that you structure your
Okay.
business.
You feel the same way?
I do, kind of a combination of both. One of the things that I pay attention to what seems to produce the best results for me.
Yes.
For example, I've paid a lot of money for marketing and lead generation online and have had minimal results, although there are people that spend money and they have great results, but I haven't had a lot of great results that way. So what I found was, like I said, the American Lifestyle
Yes.
magazine produces results for me because I get those stay in communication with those clients. They call me about it. Also keeps me in the forefront. I also my follow-up isn't the greatest, so I find what is effective and I do it. Another thing is I'm watching what is working for other people. I had an agent, very experienced agent. In fact, he kind of mentored me when I started in the business, and he did an open house on one of my listings a couple weeks ago, and he called me. He said, "This was the most amazing open house." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I have 6 excellent leads." Well, I did an open house on that property. We didn't have as many people go through, but I'm going to meet with him because I want to know what he did.
Yes.
That was so effective, where he captured 6 potential buyers. I mean, he said really good potential buyers.
Nice.
So I'm going to find out what he did. So I'm
Please
paying
report back.
Yes, I will. So the point is, I'm paying attention to what works and what doesn't work. I've thrown all kinds of money through the years. I mean, it's 18 years. I've tried all kinds of things, homes.com and, different marketing companies. And now when I get the phone calls, I tell them, I'm sorry, I don't have any more marketing dollars for what you're offering. Because
But you know
it
that
hasn't
because you
worked.
evaluate it.
It
Yes.
hasn't worked. Now, what Jason does, he's found what works for him. I think it's important to find those avenues of connection with potential clients or past clients that work for you. And it's been said over and over again, and it's absolutely true for me, is the past clients are your best potential clients for the future and your best source for referrals.
Absolutely.
Y'all, what she said is like brilliant, because if you didn't catch that, she mentioned another agent that's successful at open houses, how some people do social media, and how she has found that her direct mailer is great for her. What that just told me is that there is 100 different ways to generate leads, but not every way is going to be good for every agent. I personally would never door knock. I know one of our agents that went door knocking and picked up a $4 million listing. I'm too nervous to do that, even though I can talk to a wall. So I think it is important that you kind of try everything a little bit, and then unless you're looking at what results you're getting like they are, you really don't know, and then you end up spinning your wheels.
Right.
So you don't want to sit on an open house every weekend for 52 weeks out of the year if you're not getting leads out of those. Could that time have been spent better? Well, one thing you could have done during that time was found somebody who does get leads and interview them, or watch them for 2 hours, or pop into 10 open houses, or, so consistently refining the way that you work. Jeannie has a question or comment.
Now I have a comment. What I want to tell everybody's mentee brand new. What you're hearing today is past clients, past clients. Your past clients are your past friends and family.
Yes, true.
They're potential clients. So don't get stuck on the word past clients when you're new, because you'll get frustrated. Think about it as potential clients.
People that
important.
know, trust, and like you, and they're going to work with you.
Yes, that's a really good point too. And in the beginning, when you don't have anybody, you go and you start meeting people and you start adding those connections. If you don't know anybody in the area, if you do know people, you start there. I will tell you, it's interesting because your closest people don't tend to be the first ones to convert. It's almost like your second circle, that acquaintance circle that knows you sort of, but doesn't know you super well.
Great point.
They seem to be the first ones to jump on your real estate bandwagon, and then strangers. And then once your family stops looking at you as their sister or your former role, maybe before you were an admin or you were whatever, once they start seeing that and they start seeing your successes, then they transition. I think that's super important what you said, Jeannie. So I do want to open it up for questions, but I have one last question for the panel. All of this being said, you guys are multi-years in the business. We've got multiple Hall of Famers, rookies of the year, super successful. All three of these are super successful mentors, by the way. How has your business success impacted your personal life?
My daughter's college is paid for.
Okay, I was gonna say, that was a big grin.
Shelby's college is paid for. I don't have to worry month to month what's going on. And when things got slow, I've gone 3-4 months without a closing. It's scary as anything, but you keep doing what you do. You don't cut back on the touches that you're getting, and it comes back. And it is nice to know that I can still live off of some previous work to where I don't have to get a second and third job to keep moving forward.
I love that. So better quality of life after you were able to stabilize
A
little
lot
bit.
less worry.
What about you guys?
I got debt free in 2015. I'm planning for college,
Financial Peace University coach right here,
yes.
coming to
Yeah.
Remax Trinity cross country.
but you gotta have money to do that, right? You have to direct your money where to go, and the money that came in afforded me to do that. And I mean, we have incredible vacations. I got married, like it's a great life. And I have freedom in life, not just from a place of I have to go into work and clock in and clock out. I get to craft and create a life that I love.
Goosebumps. I get to
Mhm.
craft and create a life that I love. I want a t-shirt. Okay, what about you?
So I've got 4 things that I wrote down. It's allowed me to spend more time with my family, which I love because of the flexibility. Allowed me to give more to charity. I love to give.
I love that, y'all.
Yes, it has provided finances, which allow me to travel more. I love to travel. I'm going to Israel this year for the first time. So it's exciting. I've been to Europe a couple times, and China.
Friend
So-
her if you're not already friends with her, so
So-
watch her travels.
And then helped me learn more and grow as a person. I mean, this business is not just helping people buy and sell properties and lease properties. You can really grow as a person, cognitively, socially, emotionally, if you're fulfilled in this business. So find what about the business provides fulfillment for you.
You are so right. There's so few careers where the person can make it whatever they want. There's no direct path, which is sometimes scary, but also so liberating, Tracy, I think you might have had a question. And then I also want you guys, if you have any advice that you want to give or anything like that, to be able to say it. And then also we'll open it up for general questions. Did you?
So I wanted to tell you, I
Yeah.
don't remember, was it your second year, Raisa, that you were about 250?
No, I wish it was.
You had to get, no.
Oh, maybe it was.
If you guys on Zoom can't hear that, that's top 250 for our Texas, not for the office. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, very early in Rice's career. And what I can say that I know about Raisa from the very beginning, she absolutely gleaned wisdom from people just like we're seeing in front of us today. And Raisa is very systematic and consistent. And so I think oftentimes we see agents go and give 100% for a little while,
Yes.
and then they're way off the gas. They don't know cruise control.
Yep.
And Raisa, and of course now I know Jason and Brigette, the thing I see consistently among the three of you is consistency.
Yes.
And
me
so,
too.
you know, and I think you avoid burnout when you don't go 1,000 miles an hour and then pull back. And now you have to go 1,000 miles an hour to catch up from this vacancy that existed in your business. And the last thing I want to say is, when you have downtime, there are things we say, or at least I do, that one of these days when I have some time, that's what you do when it's slow. Whether that's a personal, a business, whatever the case may be. But
Get it
jot
done while you
those-
can.
Jot those things down, because you'll be surprised in the midst of your chaos and crazy of a busy market, these things that pass our mind, you know, one of these days when I have some time, I'm going to get these things and keep them in my car. One of these days when I have some time, I'm gonna make sure I put this system in place. But one of these days when I have some time, I'm just in the middle of the week gonna go to the museum and just me, and I'm gonna go whatever that is, right? So make yourself a list of one of these days when I have some time.
That's great.
And that needs to
great.
become.
Because then you're not frozen like,
That's
what am I gonna do today? And you know, that's great though.
I'd like to touch on something you
Yeah.
said, Tracy, when you talk about your business like a roller coaster, you're at 100% and then next year you're down. One of the tools that has made all the difference for me in consistency is in consistently trying to improve my business and be steady is the record tracking. I do the Excel spreadsheets, these 2 different spreadsheets that I do, and they really help me stay focused. And when I'm getting discouraged because things are slow, business is slow, or I'm not getting the closings that I need, I keep my eye on the goal.
Yeah.
And the goal keeps me moving forward. And I heard this term a long time ago, the pipeline. The goal helps me keep doing things that will produce business that goes into my pipeline.
I love that. And also what's interesting about all three of you, and you touched on it in your own ways individually, and so did Tracy, all of these things come from a place of faith and understanding that if you do these activities, they will pay out.
Yes.
It's really easy in this business to feel like you're spinning your wheels, but all of you seem to have, I don't know if you had to train yourself or how that got to you, but you've got that gut where you've each touched on, I know if I'm doing these things, it will come, it will come. So it's its own form of faith where you just know that what you put out, nature rewards activity, and what you put out, you will get back and all that. That's amazing. Do you guys have anything else you want to input at all before we open it?
For me, you know, this is the coolest business in the fact, like, anything that I didn't get done yesterday, I can start today, I can start the next hour, I can start tomorrow. And any real job, you'd be fired, right? If you didn't produce, if you didn't perform. And you can literally fire yourself right now from any past mistakes, the way that it was, right? And rehire the new you, and you can start today. You can start right now. And it doesn't have to be like, I need to make 50 calls and 10 pop buys and right? Just one little thing a day. Just add one more call to your day, add one more note, add one more pop by, right? Just do something small enough where your brain's not gonna, that's too much, right? That's where overwhelm comes, but it's just one little small thing a day. And noticeably different things will happen over time. You just do one little small thing a day.
Well, and what's interesting about all of you is regardless of the fact that you're past a decade in the business, you're still working to consistently improve your systems and your own personal development. I think it's a very common misconception in your first maybe 3 or 4 years. Eventually, I'm going to be able to know everything. Eventually, I'll know exactly what to do. It will never happen in this business. And once you can take that into your heart and understand that it is up to you to determine what happens next week or next month or next year. Then you have this extra kind of freedom that comes along with that, and it builds that gut confidence where you're like, it's okay. I know if I send out my American magazine, somebody's gonna text me next month and all that. So I love that. Okay, do we have any chat questions at all? And does anybody in the room have anything they want to ask or tell the panelists?
No, go.
Okay, anybody? Everybody's good?
One thing that just brought up to mind is as soon as you're the expert on anything, that it's time for it to change. I sat through a short sale foreclosure class. Well, I've got my SFR. I did those. I know about those. It's all changed. It's totally different than it was in 2007 and 2008. So as soon as
Our broker bay, our MLS, our CRM, all of that.
you know, but even I thought, well, short sales and foreclosures. Okay, well, they've implemented different ways of doing things, different titles, different types of managers, different things that they weren't doing.
Are we
10
still
years
writing
ago.
the number on every page?
They're still not going to respond to you, but it, you know, they're in 10 years, laws change,
Yes.
tax laws change. I mean, you've
It's
got
always evolving.
you've got to constantly be keeping up with what's going on.
You're still consistent, but you're consistent with knowing that there's change.
Which makes it exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It really does. I
Well,
think
and it,
Don't grow, you go.
and it sets you apart, whether clients realize it or not.
Etsy shop.
It sets you apart from other people, because we've all gotten contracts that were written on forms that are 3 years old, and it's kind of like, okay. I mean, you owe it to your clients.
That's
to
one
know
thing that
what's
I'm
going
super proud of Remax Trinity Cross Country for, is that I notice all the time when I do stuff in the field with other agents, the company that they're with actually really does matter for that piece of it. You can be left on an island to figure all that out on your own, or you can have a broker that pushes the important things in front of your face. So I think that's super important too.
on.
And
Absolutely.
if anybody knows anybody who's at a brokerage that they don't like, they can just send them on over to me and Erika. But anyway, okay. So if we are good, if nobody has any questions or feedback and we're on the chat, then if we could just go right back through and let everybody know if they did want to reach out to you, how your preference would be. If it's text, give your phone number, if it's email or Facebook or whatever. And because I do think that there may be some follow-up questions. Bridge,
Text or call,
what's your number?
940. Are you right? Are you putting
I'm
this?
trying, yes.
Okay. 940-368-9266.
She likes text. Jason, or call.
I don't care, whatever.
How do they reach you? Whatever.
Smoke signal, whatever. Take me to lunch, yeah.
Tell them your email or something, or your. or phone number.
JasonHewitt.com, and my phone number is 972-816-0184. Or if you Google Jason Hewitt Realtor, it will come up.
I also know that he works for chocolate.
SEO hits.
Oh,
Raisa?
yeah.
Text and call is perfect for me.
What number?
817-371-3946.
Okay, and then just in case anybody has any referral for you guys, do you guys want to tell where your primary business is? Because we've got lots of agents watching that might need your help in their areas too. You're all in different little markets here.
Allen, Plano, Frisco, McKinney.
Okay,
Then I kind of come over in North DFW, South Denton County, Grapevine, South Lake.
Raisa?
I'm in Flower Mound, Highland Village, Louisville, Denton, Corinth, but also the Frisco, all the way to Prosper area too.
Perfect. And they both also do some project, or not project management, property management. So if you need somebody for a referral for that as well. So thanks, everybody. I loved this panel and I cannot thank you guys enough
great.
for being
Thank
on our
you.
panel.
Thank
this
you
year.
for inviting us.
Thank you.
Bye, Zoom friends. See you later.
That was amazing. y'all.
I loved it. I'm all fired up now. I want to go rearrange my whole business.
All right.
One little thing at a time. Okay, well, I cannot.